Fabulous.
And flashy.
The house of... Fun!
Frostproof.
Flawless.
And fragrance.
The house are finally back together. We are House of Fraser.
Print all your treasured memories with Snapfish and create heartfelt gifts like this beautiful hardcover 8x6-inch photo book, only £6. And design a folded card that fits your style and enjoy this 2-for-1 offer from £2.29. With Snapfish, it's easy. Simply add photos and text to create personalised gifts and cards everyone will love. Relive fun times with family and friends this year with perfect photo gifts delivered to your door. Hurry, the Snapfish sale is now on. Snap, print, save with snapfish.co.uk.
I promised my family I'd be home for Christmas.
That's pretty cool to me.
But now, people are trying to kill us.
Actually, it's pretty bad when you think about it. Let me guess, you're gonna need another day.
Or two?
This Christmas
Probably should have brought more guys. Oh, good. You did.
comes the 6-part original series
What are regular arrows?
you can't miss.
Oh my god, trick arrows!
Christmas never felt so good.
This is some Christmas.
Marvel Studios' Hawkeye. Streaming soon only on Disney+.
I wanted to retrain as an engineer, though starting again in your mid-30s is hard. But I never gave up. Amazon supported me. Now I'm getting hands-on experience. And they're even paying for my new qualification. With my Amazon apprenticeship, I can focus on both learning and making my dreams a reality.
Tiffany, I got this awesome plan.
Oh, the blood donation thing?
The biscuits, exactly.
Yeah, well, the NHS needs more blood donors of black heritage to treat patients with sickle cell, you know?
I do. Step 1, register your interest to give blood.
Because sickle cell mainly affects people from black communities.
That's exactly my point. Step 2, book an appointment.
And ethnically matched blood provides better treatment for sickle cell patients.
Step 3, you go donate some blood. It's so easy.
Amazing.
Search ITV2 Blood Squad to register. Grab a biscuit. Help save up to 3 lives in an hour.
Are government social care reforms enough? And if not, what's really needed in the sector? The Tonight programme investigates now on ITV in social care, the true cost.
Tonight, social care in crisis.
Social care is on its knees, and we must improve the morale, make it an industry that people are proud to join.
So this is all the activities for the week.
Thousands of vacancies.
The sector isn't able to pay its staff at the level that others are.
Families in despair.
We want proper staffing levels. We want our relatives to be cared for.
So what's the solution?
We need funding for social care, not just so that our staff can actually live and not worry about their bills.
Good evening and welcome to the Tonight programme. Years of underfunding have taken their toll on the social care system in this country, a problem that successive governments have seemed unable to solve despite numerous reviews over the years. Then, finally, in September, the government announced its long-awaited social care reforms. But are they enough to fix a care system that many believe is broken? Fiona Foster reports.
Last year, local authorities received almost 2 million requests for adult social care support, covering everything from help getting dressed in the morning to long-term old-age residential care. Whether it's supplied by the local authority or independent providers, for the workers who deliver the care, it's a demanding job.
It's 6:25 in the morning and I'm just about to set off to go to work.
Courtney is a home care worker in Kent.
I have 29 calls to complete today by 10 o'clock tonight.
She's on a run of 5 days of 15-hour shifts, making a 75-hour week on the above-average rate of £11 an hour.
So I'm just about to start my tea calls. Morning and lunch was quite hectic this morning. Due to staff sickness, I had to do a couple of calls on my own.
The company she works for is struggling to meet the demand for carers.
Currently we have 25 staff. We have 6 vacancies. We are all working flat out.
Around 1 million people need publicly funded social care, either in care homes or in their own homes. One of them is Simon's wife, Tricia. The couple met when they were young and have been married for 47 years. Tricia is receiving end-of-life care for dementia and needs round-the-clock support, with carers coming in 4 times a day.
Putting it quite simply, I couldn't manage without them. The fact that my wife is at home is very important because, I mean, not to be too emotional, but I love her, and therefore, if she was in a care home, I wouldn't be able to see her all the time and feed her, etc., which is what I do here.
When people say just a carer, I have to bite my tongue. And I don't always bite my tongue, because I think just a carer is so offensive. So we need to up the image of the care industry, to show it for what it really is.
There are over 1.5 million people working in adult social care. In October, the Care Quality Commission said we could see a tsunami of unmet need in the sector because of staff shortages.
Alice made a home her own.
Over the next 5 months, the government's running its Made with Care campaign to try and fill the massive 100,000 job vacancies.
Search Care Careers.
Since August, I have spent now in excess of £12,000 on recruitment. I have used all the well-known job boards, which are just inundated with people like me, same industry. And I've never, in all my years in care, known anything like this.
While they're coping, it's challenging.
I'm so lucky with the team I've got. They are amazing, but they are exhausted. We have had in excess of over 200 patients die in the last 18 months, and it takes its toll.
Joanna believes things are close to breaking point.
Social care is on its knees, and we must improve training, improve the image, improve the morale, make it an industry that people are proud to join.
We know care homes are having a recruitment crisis too. While the pandemic has been blamed, others say the problem's been around much longer.
So this is all the activities for the week, and you'll see...
Sam Monaghan runs MHA. They are the UK's largest charity care provider and support over 4,000 older people living in their care homes.
The sector isn't able to pay its staff at the level that others are. We then had COVID, and a number of our staff and colleagues are making decisions about whether or not this is the place that they want to work anymore. We're then struggling with a smaller pool of people we can recruit from following Brexit.
They're having to restrict the number of residents they can take.
We need to make sure that we provide safe care for all of our residents in all of our homes. We will do that, but it does mean that we can't always accept new residents into our homes if we don't have the staffing.
And Sam says if they're already in hospital, it causes an NHS backlog.
Clearly those people have to stay in hospital longer, which means that then new people coming into hospital, you've got this whole backup throughout the whole system.
The National Care Forum represents 130 not-for-profit care providers.
We're seeing definite pressure on hospitals. People are being unable to come out into care homes or into the community. We're seeing definite pressures on unpaid carers, and we're seeing massive pressure on the staff themselves.
As of last Thursday, frontline carers are now obliged to have the COVID jab in order to carry on working. With tens of thousands of care workers currently unvaccinated, it's feared this will be another blow to staffing levels.
That's the hardest thing I've ever had to do. That's it. Goodbye to everybody, all the people that I've cared for so long.
Care worker of 14 years, Louise, is not vaccinated and has just lost her job.
The reason I don't want the vaccine is because I don't trust it yet. I'm not saying I'll never have it. It was an informed decision. Even my employers offered me, more information for me to read up on.
She says she's received a huge backlash.
I've been called an anti-vaxxer, which I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I've had vaccines in the past to serve my children.
Louise had been looking to move to the NHS until it was announced jabs would be compulsory there too from next April.
I'm just going to end up in the same situation a few months down the line. So it's back to the drawing board, basically. See what jobs are out there.
There's been a very high rate of take-up of vaccination across care homes. However, some have had to dismiss staff and others have lost staff who have resigned because of this policy. So it's had an impact onto a sector that already has high levels of vacancies.
While 2/3 of people accessing long-term care are over the age of 65, the number of younger adults needing care is growing.
Just put whatever one you want on there now.
Jill is a full-time paid carer for Alan and Jason and works for Community Integrated Care, a charity that provides support for adults with many different care needs.
She really does care for us. She's a mini mum, basically. And I actually sometimes call her mum by accident as well. So
She helps them to live independently by assisting with things like paperwork or medication.
A lot of the guys have had acquired brain injuries, and that can happen to absolutely any one of us. And I always think that looking after people is like looking after your own family.
She's been in the job for 5 years and has seen a high turnover of staff.
People want to come into this originally because they want to make a difference, but sometimes that can get really challenging for people. There's times where it's very upsetting, it can be very emotional, and I think I can't do it anymore. But something just pulls me back. Conkers are coming out now. Look at this conker. Take you back to youth, that, playing conkers.
Jill's boss Mark employs 5,000 carers, and he's had to up their wages to keep them.
When you can get a signing-on bonus of £3,000 to go and work in a warehouse, or you can be on £2 an hour more income, are you prepared to carry on struggling to live your life in order that you get satisfaction in caring for somebody else?
The charity has used its savings to pay staff who work in services in England £9.70 per hour. It amounts to a 9% pay rise, which Mark says means the charity will be losing money.
We need funding for social care, not just so that our staff can actually live and not worry about their bills, but also that they can commit to a 5, 10, 20-year journey with the people they're supporting, and they desperately need that.
Meanwhile, back in Kent, Courtney is now 10 hours into a 15-hour shift, and she's pushed for time because of an unexpected problem.
I had to stop on the side of the road to change an indicator bulb myself because it had gone, so it was very stressful. And not only that, I'm on call and I've had to deal with death of a client and talk to the family. So yeah.
But there isn't time to sit and reflect. It's back out to the next appointment. While the majority of carers on the road or in residential or nursing care do an amazing job, when services are stretched, things can go terribly wrong.
Which went to get her all beat.
90-year-old Hilda went into a privately owned care home. Her daughters Anne and Susan believe she was not properly looked after.
There were several times where Mum wasn't fed, and we'd often go up and she'd be sat there and she hadn't had a drink, she wasn't ready for bed. She never had a wash before she went to bed.
After they complained, Hilda went to another nursing home. Her health deteriorated and she began to suffer seizures. The seizure management plan at this care home stated she should have been checked every 10 minutes post a seizure. Sadly, she wasn't.
I got a phone call to say she was very poorly and could have come up to the care home. The nurse on duty said that the care staff had to go and see to other people. She'd been sick everywhere, she'd swallowed her own vomit and she was extremely unwell.
The now 94-year-old was taken to hospital, but sadly died 2 weeks later in a hospice.
We knew she wasn't going to live forever. Nobody lives forever, we knew that, you know. But to be let down like that at the end...
It's shocking.
It's not right. It just isn't right.
After complaints to both care homes and the local authority, they took their case to the Social Care Ombudsman. In 2 different reports, they stated that Hilda received inadequate care in the homes, and their complaints were upheld. The Ombudsman also identified a failure with the local authority, who didn't respond to concerns raised about the care home and took too long to complete a safeguarding investigation. For Anne and Susan, it's been an exhausting process.
We want change. We want proper staffing levels. We want our relatives to be cared for. And we're asking for support of the authorities as well as the care homes to give this care. It's absolutely basic, but it seems to be impossible in this day and age.
Currently, if you have property or savings worth more than £23,250, you have to pay for your own care, which has meant people often having to sell their homes. But under the new government reforms from October 2023, there will be a limit on how much money people will have to pay for care. The reforms come almost 2 years after the Conservative Party's manifesto promise that nobody needing care should be forced to sell their home to pay for it. Natasha Curry is from an independent health think tank.
The first element of the reform was a cap on care costs, and that means that no one will have to pay any more than £86,000 in their lifetime towards the cost of their care. The second part of the reform was a change to what we call the means test. So if you have assets, so property, savings, etc., under £100,000, you may be eligible for some financial support from your council. But if you have assets and savings under £20,000 in the new proposals, you will get access to public funding.
Across the UK, 44% of people in care homes pay the full cost of their care themselves. Jimmy was one of them. He sadly developed Alzheimer's in 2018. Last year, his condition deteriorated.
We were paying £1,400 a week for my dad's care. At one point, they suggested we needed one-to-one care, and that was going to be an extra £12,000 a month.
£12,000 a month?
£12,000 a month just for the one-to-one care on top of the £1,400 a week.
It meant his family had to make the upsetting decision to sell his home to fund his care.
And how difficult was it to navigate the care system when you first entered it?
Unfortunately, when you're in it, you're also very, very emotional. You know, you're losing your dad that you've loved all your life. Yeah, it was probably one of the worst times of my life.
Sadly, Jimmy passed away in February, just a few short months into his care, after the family home was sold.
I think my dad would just be turning over in his grave if he knew. We tried to explain to him this might happen, but he just didn't understand. And it just seems so unfair.
But there's a caveat to the new government reforms.
The cap on care costs only will cover personal care costs, so the very basics of living, getting up, getting dressed, eating, going to the toilet. It wouldn't cover wider social care services, so help going shopping or help with going on public transport, for example. The other thing to note is that it doesn't include the bed and board costs of living in residential care.
Natalie believes that the new reforms wouldn't have made any difference to their situation, as the family didn't have access to a pot of £86,000 for Jimmy's care or further funds to pay for his living costs.
We would have still had to go ahead and sell the house because they needed the money, and you had to pay it up front, you know, when you went in.
The new reforms are going to be paid for by a rise in our national insurance from next April. It's expected to raise £36 billion over 3 years, with just over £5 billion of that ring-fenced for social care in England. The extra money has been welcomed, but some feel that it isn't enough.
We're talking billions of pounds to bring the pay structures up to make it a worthwhile career where people really want to stay and really want to develop.
What do the reforms fail to address, in your opinion?
Longer term, we don't have the clear, sustainable funding that we need, where we can plan for the future, because old age is not going to go away.
Campaigners have argued that carers should have been exempt from the national insurance rises, as they are some of the poorest paid and will feel the pinch more than most. We requested an interview with the government, but no one was available to speak. They did send this statement.
We are committed to delivering world-leading social care across the country and investing an additional £5.4 billion over 3 years, which will allow us to begin a comprehensive programme of reform for adult social care, including £500 million to support the development and well-being of the care workforce.
Amid a care funding crisis, some local authorities are now increasing charges to adult social care services.
Do you feel that as far as social care is concerned, local authorities are caught between a rock and a hard place?
I think it's our most important role. That is 70% of our budget and 70% of what we do. We just need to find a way of doing it. And we've got very good at balancing our books over the last few years. But you can only do it for so long.
It's estimated unpaid carers already save the government billions. And during the pandemic, the number of people caring for loved ones at home increased by over a third, from 9 million to 13.5 million.
Make the potatoes without skins on.
Yeah.
Fiona looks after her husband John, who had a stroke in 2014.
The night before, we actually got round to discussing what we wanted to do in our retirement. The next day, John was taken into hospital with a stroke. And so overnight, all the plans that we thought were going to happen disappeared. There's you in Concord.
Yes, yes.
Their lives were never going to be the same again.
John couldn't walk, he couldn't talk, he couldn't swallow. He was paralysed down his right side. So I knew that he would need an awful lot of support. And I would have to give up work to get him the best life that he could have.
And giving up work to live on a carer's allowance has been a real struggle financially.
We get £68 a week for at least 35 hours care, which works out at £2 odd an hour. We save the government as much money as the whole NHS budget, but we're not given the recognition that we should be given.
Fiona wanted to make sure she found things that John could still enjoy. He loves cooking and even sings in a choir.
Country roads, take me home.
Yeah, it's wonderful that they're able to communicate fluently through song.
The Carers Centre, a support group for unpaid carers, helps take some of the pressure off.
We can walk through the door and say, I am just exhausted, and people get it. They get the 24/7 not having a day off from your caring responsibilities.
And no one is more grateful than John for the care she gives him.
I love her. Yes, and she puts my knees up hers, and it's amazing.
Back in Kent, carer Courtney has just finished her last shift of the week. She's done 75 hours in 5 days. She'll now get a few days off to recover.
I am physically and mentally exhausted after that. It really does take it out of you, but the most rewarding thing is knowing that everyone's been seen to and looked after the way they should be.
It's likely that all of us will rely on the work of carers at some point in our lives. And the work they do is vitally important. But many are stretched to their absolute limit. The hope is the new reforms will improve things. But with many saying it's worse than ever before, the worry is that it could be too little, too late.
And that's it for tonight's programme. If you want to continue the conversation, please join in using our hashtag ITVTonight on Twitter, as well as visiting our Facebook and Instagram pages and our website itv.com/tonight. Until next time, good evening and thanks for watching.
Coming up on ITV is Kerry in danger, and what will Mina do now? Find out in Emmerdale next.
Cherry Pits, good day at school?
Morning.
Fall in love with The Larkins. Watch the full series now on ITV Hub, or you can watch ad-free on BritBox.
The December draws are nearly here, with our biggest shed prize ever to end the year.
£8.4 million. Yes, that's right.
For one lucky postcode, a festive delight.
But wait, there's even more. With 30k a day, we could be knocking on your door.
You have until midnight on the 18th of November to enter by direct debit in the draws for December.
People's Postcode Lottery are bringing joy and fun.
With over £25 million in prizes guaranteed to be won.
Well, I suppose I'm not your standard size. My thighs were just an inch too big for the fashion game. I mean, I tried other jobs, of course I did, but, yeah.
Hang on, what, no airbag?
And then I found Spoke and their custom-fit trousers. Finally, a brand that understands. We are all made different.